The scene begins with Suzuki-san, a 30-year-old man at the train station waiting for the 8003 train, but he forgot that it is Sunday and the train will come at a different time. And when he arrives at the waiting area, he finds the train is about to leave, so he rushes to get on it before the doors close. Suzuki arrives at his workplace, where Suzuki works at a game development company, takes the elevator and meets his coworker. And it turns out that Suzuki-san will work on the weekend because an employee left before the deadline, and Suzuki had to finish the rest of the work on the weekend. Then Suzuki reaches his office, opens his computer, and starts working on a project called Death March. After several days, we find Suzuki sitting at the computer immersed in his work. Then a colleague named Balden approaches him and asks him about a project called World of War and calls him Sato, which annoys Suzuki a little, and his colleague tells him that novice players complain about the difficulty of the game, and Suzuki tells him that he will work to fix it by adding some modifications and features to make it easier to play. But before that, he must first fix an RPG game. After Suzuki finished his work, he went to eat lunch alone and sat eating his food in silence until that silence was interrupted by the sound of a child crying across from him. Suzuki looked around and found no one, so he went to ask her why she was crying and whether she was lost, and when he asked her, she told him that she was looking for her mother. Suzuki decided to take her to the police station, but he heard her mother's voice calling her from behind, so the child rushed to her mother's lap, still crying, and Suzuki talked to the girl's mother and expressed his happiness that he had found her. But inside, he was happy that the mother did not think he was trying to kidnap her daughter. In the evening, Suzuki was working on modifications to a game called FFL, and he tested the game to see the results. And he put his name in the username field and clicked on the start word, and one of his colleagues was leaving for home. Then he noticed Suzuki's immersion in work and said to him, "Good job!" And Suzuki asked him if he was leaving. His colleague replied that he hadn't been home for 3 days and would like to see his wife after that time. His colleague told him that he should get a girlfriend now that he was 30 years old, but Suzuki wasn't convinced of the idea because of his constant preoccupation with his work, especially the Death March project. Suzuki worked all night until the next morning until dark circles appeared under his eyes from fatigue. Then, Suzuki went to wash his face in the bathroom and remembered that he hadn't bathed in 3 days. But Suzuki still worked on his projects and modifications until they were finished, and when he was about to send a mail to the manager, his colleague told him about a storage space issue in one of the games, and Suzuki told his colleague that he worked on fixing the bugs in it, thinking that he was referring to the FFL game. And Suzuki told his colleague that he had fixed the bugs in it, but his colleague told him that the bug was in World of Warcraft, and told him to check the attached file in the messenger application where he has all the details of the issue. Suzuki checked his messenger and found the mail sent by a colleague named Baddie, and found that the request was to remove the storage limit during the beta testing phase, which means that Suzuki will stay in his office another night. Suzuki looked at Baddie angrily, and Baddie was embarrassed and pretended to work on his computer. Suzuki continued to work on the required modification until he finished it at 3 in the morning. Then he looked around and found his colleagues asleep at their desks and some lying under his desk, as employees are not allowed to leave the company before completing the required work. Suzuki was feeling very sleepy and tired, as he had not slept for a day and a half, and he sent a mail to finish his work and closed his computer and decided to try the modifications later after getting some rest by sleeping under his desk. Suzuki fell into a deep sleep, and moments later, he woke up to find himself on a mountain hill, and the place is completely empty and looks like a desert. Suzuki wondered what brought him to a place like this. He took out his phone and tried to call anyone, but he found that his phone was not working, and when Suzuki looked at the front camera of his phone, he found that he had become younger, as his appearance became as he was in high school, but he was aware that he was in a dream. But he realized that this place is the place for the World of Warcraft game that he was working on, and he saw characteristics as if he was a player or a character in the game, such as the health bar, energy, abilities, map, and settings. Suzuki clicked on the character icon and found that his name in World of Warcraft is Sato, as Suzuki always used a pseudonym of his own creation while testing the characters. This dream is nothing but information stored in Suzuki's subconscious mind. Suzuki, now known as Sato, clicked on the map icon and found that he was in a place called Dragon Valley. Then he saw something approaching him from afar. Sato thought it was an enemy. Then he looked at the skills box and found that he had 3 falling meteors and the appearance of the map, which are the same skills that Sato added to the game to improve its difficulty level. Sato chose to use the map appearance skill and saw a large army of enemies coming towards him, 300 level 50 lizardmen. Sato hid behind a rock so that no one would see him, as he is level 1 and there is no way he can defeat them in direct combat. Then the lizardmen dismounted from their horses and aimed their arrows upwards, and one of them shot an arrow at Sato. When Sato felt the pain, he began to doubt that this was just a dream. Then all the arrows flew upward to try to hit him, but Sato remained hidden behind the rock and thought about what to do. Then he decided to use the skill of falling bombs, but he found that they had run out and he had no means left to stand against the enemies. Then Sato looked up at the sky and found that the meteor, Sato put his head in his arms to try to protect himself from the bombardment, and the more meteors he used, the more experience points Sato gained, and the higher his level and characteristics after the end of the battle. It rains in Dragon Valley forming a small puddle of water where the meteors fell, and Sato was still in his place when he heard the meteors fall. Sato was still in his place until he heard a sound near him, and when he raised his head, he found that he was an enemy soldier who was still alive but affected by many injuries. Sato then realized that he lost the battle as he had no chance against an enemy even if he was injured. But the soldier threw Sato a sword, asking him to fight him man to man. Sato got up and his balance was off, grabbed the sword and stood facing his opponent. Then the enemy began to attack him and injured Sato with a wound in his shoulder and knocked him to the ground and continued to attack him, and Sato barely dodged his attacks. And when Sato looked at the opponent's face, he found that his life tape was about to end, so he tried to resist his attacks, and then collected a little sand in his hand and threw it to try to distract the opponent, and then threw the sword at him to try to hit him, and the sword penetrated the enemy's body and disappeared immediately. Sato couldn't believe that he was able to defeat the opponent, but he wanted to find a way to end this cruel dream quickly, so he tried to look for a button to exit this game. But to no avail, Sato had to stay inside the game until this dream ended and he woke up. Then he was surprised that his shoulder was healed from the injury he sustained, and when he viewed his profile, he found that his level became 310 and all his vital signs and combat characteristics rose to the maximum. Then Sato decided to test his skills this time, taking advantage of the lack of enemies around him, and in order not to create chaos again, and he chose a place far from his field to test the meteors and kept looking at the sky waiting for them to fall. But he was surprised that the meteors were all falling in the same spot coming from behind him and causing a huge explosion that he did not expect. Then he jumped to the other side and found himself entering a field like a time portal and moved to another place. Then Sato deactivated his skills due to their danger and began to feel thirsty, so he searched his storage space and found that he had loot that was automatically added to him after he beat the lizardmen. Then he found a bag of water in it, so he took it out and drank from it. He drank from it and began to pour on himself to reduce the heat he felt. Then he searched again in the storage area and found that he had a lot of money and also many weapons and clothes, so he wore clothes from the storage area after that. Sato sat at night thinking about a way to get abilities without fighting, perhaps by doing some activities, and spent time adjusting and upgrading the skills he had acquired and decided to start his journey in search of a town. Sato started his journey the next morning while searching the map for the nearest city until he found the so-called Warrior Fortress and decided to go to that area. Although Suzuki is not sure if this is a dream or reality, and despite the difficulties he went through at the beginning, he thinks that this dream is a good break for him from the real world full of hard work without stopping, and Sato began to discover the world around him on his way to the Warrior Fortress. And after he examined the town, he found that the nearest city is Salo, and there are about 100 soldiers with an average level of 7 to 31. Sato noticed a person on the map called Wyvern, so he jumped up trying to find his place in the city, and then a dragon collided with him and knocked him down. Sato was surprised that this collision did not hurt him, unlike what happened in the Lizardman battle, and discovered that Wyvern is the dragon, and the dragon kept flying over him until Sato threw stones at him, which threw him off balance, and he was amazed at the level of strength he had reached. But he noticed that he was still standing in the direction of the soldiers, so he decided to escape and hide in a safe place. When the soldiers arrived, each of them kept aiming their spears and arrows at Wyvern, and Wyvern kept flying above them, trying to block them until they started shooting their arrows at him, but they did not penetrate his skin. Then some soldiers released special abilities that were able to knock Wyvern down, and Wyvern tried to fly again and escape after several attacks and flew in the direction of Sato, who was watching the events from a high hill. Then Wyvern returned at full speed to return the attack until a soldier named Xena fired an ability and the air erupted, which pushed Wyvern away, but it reversed and attacked Xena, who also flew away due to the effect of the ability. Sato tried to catch her before she fell to the ground and grabbed her and succeeded in landing her safely on a tree trunk and earning the title of Savior, which is one of the game's prizes. Sato held on to Xena until she woke up and made sure she was okay. Then he flew her to a safe place amidst Xena's surprise and amazement until they landed on the ground, and Xena thanked him for saving her life and told her his name, and Xena told him her name in turn, and that she is the guardian of Count Salo and has been serving in the regional army for 2 years. Sato suddenly received a spear attack, but he managed to dodge it. When he looked in the direction of the attack, he found soldiers Iona and Lelio. Lelio asked him who he was, thinking he was trying to harm their friend, but he told them that he was just a traveling merchant. But Iona suspected him because he didn't look like a merchant, and Sato explained that his porter horse. Through this lie, he acquired the skills of deception and persuasion, and he continued to make up lies until the two soldiers were convinced that he was a peaceful person. And when Iona asked him about his papers, he said that he had no papers because they were in the bag that was on the back of his horse, so she decided to take him with them to Salo City to issue new papers for him. On their way to the city of Salo, Xena told him the mission for which they came, as they were assigned to check any changes that occurred after the meteor shower. On the way, Sato saw the body of a wyvern and the soldiers standing around it, and it turned out that the soldiers hunted the wyvern to make armor and cloaks from its skin for its hardness or to sell it and get more money. When they arrived in the city, Xena left to report to the army and left Sato with Yona, who took him to the registry office to issue new papers for him, and the man in charge asked Sato to put his hands on the Yamato stone and started asking him about some information related to issuing papers, such as name and whether he had committed any crime before. And when Sato spoke his name while touching the stone, all his information appeared before him before his level increased. Sato received the papers after they were finished. Then the official gave him a visa to enter the city ballot for 10 days, meaning that he will have to leave after 10 days, and if he wants to stay longer, he will extend it for 3 copper coins. And the official warned him that if he stays in the city with an expired visa, he will have to pay a fine, and if he does not have the money to pay it, he will become a slave. After Sato left the center, he kept looking at the city and its buildings as he did not forget his memories of the real world, and things like this will definitely catch his eye as a game developer. While Sato was on his way, he came across a girl named Martha who offered him to stay in a room in her inn and took him to the Gate Inn. There, Sato met Martha's mother, and she said that to stay in the inn, he must pay a large copper coin without food service, and if he ate in the inn's tavern, he would have to pay a large copper coin. Sato asked for some food, but the mother told him that all that was left to eat today was some pancakes, and she brought them to him. Then a man came calling her to talk to her outside, and after she came out, Sato started eating his food, and Martha came to ask him what he thought of the food. Then Sato asked her about a clothing store, and she told him about a store on Tibeta Street and offered to take him there. While Sato and Martha were walking down Tibeta Street, Sato saw a young slave girl who looked like she was half human and half animal being taunted and scolded by someone after he knocked her down. The girl was crying and her friend was consoling her. Then he helped her, tied the wooden blocks into a bundle, and gave them to her. Then the 2 girls thanked him and left, and Sato returned to Martha, who was surprised that he was kind to a human monster. Sato wondered if that kind of creature was hated in this world, and Martha told him that their race has killed many humans in the past, so their slaves are treated with contempt and humiliation. Then Martha caught the eye of a ready-made clothing store, and they went to choose the right clothes for Sato, and they kept wandering from store to store and spent time together, and Sato gained abilities such as, during this time, Sato acquired abilities such as bargaining and frozen face and bought some clothes. He brought Martha a headband as a gift to thank her for taking him around the city. While walking around, Sato saw a group of slave girls in a small carriage, and one of them looked at him for a while. When Sato and Martha returned to the inn, Sato recognized Martha's younger sister, Yoni, who moved Sato's things to his room. Sato went up to his room and began to adjust to the atmosphere of living in the city of Salo and his new friends, and began to enjoy everything around him. So he ate his meals in the inn's bar and then went to sleep at night in the room, and he had memories of his first days in this world when he was attacked by lizard men. He began to wonder if this is a dream or reality, as he feels that he is inside a game, but he cannot log out or in, and there is no answer as to whether he will return to the real world or not. So Sato decided to enjoy this world as much as possible and to learn new things that help him in his field as a game developer until he finds a way to return to reality. The next morning, Martha comes up to wake Sato up and tells him that his girlfriend is waiting for him downstairs. When he goes downstairs, he finds Xena dressed nicely, and when Sato asks her why she came, she offers to show him around the city. Sato and Xena walked around the city, and Xena went to buy some food for them. But Sato paid for it, so Xena told him that she wanted to repay him for helping her. And he told her that she did that by helping him enter the city and take him around today, and they started eating together and trying different types of food, and in the meantime, a small child accidentally bumped into Xena and stained her shirt. So Sato suggested they go to the clothing store he went to yesterday in Tipta. A witch who was walking around overheard their conversation and offered to help them use her cleaning magic to remove the stain. They went into a side alley, and the witch used her power to remove the stain from Xena's shirt. Sato and Xena continued their tour of the city, and then Sato asked her about different spells, and she used one of her spells as an example, but Sato didn't understand it. Xena told him that she studied magic for 3 years and said that she wanted to learn to fly one day. Then they went to an old lady's shop selling paints for wounds and burns. Sato thought he would buy some for his innkeeper, and then Xena asked him if there was a particular place he wanted to visit, and he wanted to visit the military facility for the army, and she agreed to it, because only wyverns attack humans in this world. Then they went to the Temple of Balian, and Sato saw a painting of the Demon King fighting with the hero, and Xena explained to him that the hero's sword shines blue, but if anyone else holds it, it will not be that color. Then their conversation was interrupted by the temple priestess Orna, who said that only heroes answer the call of Balian. Orna is the priestess of the Temple of Balian and the daughter of Count Salo, the ruler of the city. Then they heard a noise outside, and Orna went to see what was wrong. After Sato and Xena left the temple, Xena went to talk to a carriage owner. Meanwhile, Sato checked his awards file and found that he had collected several awards during this period. Then they took the carriage back, and on the way he saw an anti-dragon tower specially designed to defend the city against the attack of any dragons or dragons. Sato wondered if there would be a hero to defend the city against attacks by dragons or flying monsters if the tower was destroyed, but Xena told him that heroes are summoned using spells that are specific to the epic empire and are called summoning spells. The last time the Demon King attacked the city was 66 years ago. Then Sato asked her if the Demon King could control monsters, and she replied that it depends on the demon itself and that the most terrifying is the one who controls the demons themselves. Then they were interrupted by the sound of someone speaking to a crowd in the courtyard. He is the high priest of Zycon and incites people to be cruel to the monstrous human race because they are descendants of demons, and asks people to throw stones at them. Before going after her, Sato took a look at the slaves lying on the ground and found that they were the ones he met on Pecha Street. When he searched the map for their master, he found that he was not that priest but someone else, and that a group of people were acting riotously in order to incite people and collect money for buying stones to throw at them. Sato decided to use the kidnapping skill and sneak up on them and subdue them, while Xena defended them vigorously and used her wind protection to avoid the stones. Sato kept sneaking up on the rioters one by one until he reached the slave master and kicked him unconscious and threw him in front of the people in the courtyard, and managed to reveal their plan to everyone. The priest lent his slaves to lie to the people about the sacred rocks to steal their money and try to use the temple of Zycon to incite the people to rebel against the count. Then everyone was surprised by something shattering the body of the troublemaker from the inside, and it turned out to be the demon that was controlling him. Then Xena told Sato to take the girls and run away, and she would go for support. And when Sato went to take them away, they refused to run away with him because their master ordered them not to move from their place, otherwise their collar would tighten even more. And then the demon fully appeared, which is a flying monster with a large eye where the head is. Then he cast a spell on the ground and spread greatly and released a strange energy in the sky until it became like night, and Sato and the girls lost consciousness. When Sato woke up, he found himself inside a closed and dark place, and the girls were lying on the floor, not yet awake. Then he heard the voice of the devil talking to him and telling him that they are now in the eye of the devil, which is a maze, and they have to kill each other in order to get out of here. So Sato went to the slave girls and told them his name to reassure them, and when he asked them about their names, the little girl said that she is a cat and her friend a dog, and the big girl told him that she is a lizard and told him that their masters called them by those names. So Sato checked their profiles and found that their real names were a cat and a dog and a lizard. Then he helped them clean their wounds and gave them new clothes to wear, and then gave them some food while he was thinking about solving the mystery of this maze, and decided to use the map appearance skill to discover the details of the maze and the entrances and exits, and was able to find the location of Xena and some people, but he did not find the eye of the demon. So he drew a sword and gave it to Lisa because she is the only one among them who has some combat skills, and ordered her not to use it without his command. Sato and the girls started to move inside the maze to find the exit, and Pucci smelled an enemy coming from the front, so they hid behind the wall and saw a monster eating someone on the other side. Sato thought about going back to the room and waiting for backup, but Lisa suggested that they either sneak up behind him or attack him from behind. Sato decided to attack the monster from behind, and he upgraded some of his combat skills to the maximum to do more damage to him, and pointed his gun at the monster and shot him, and the monster fell to the ground immediately. He made a weapon out of some tools, and then he saw Lisa trying to extract something from inside the monster, and when he went to her, he found her extracting the core, which is something that can be sold for a good amount of money or replaced with something more important. Sato took it from her and gave her the spear he made to be her weapon, and Lisa gave the sword weapon to Tama. Then Sato asked Lisa to tell Pucci and Tama the location of the core inside the monsters and teach them how to capture it, and they began their adventure inside the maze in search of the solution. On their way inside the maze, Sato ordered Tama to collect stones the size of the core, and while Tama was collecting the stones, she sensed a monster near them, and Sato and Lisa attacked it, and ordered Tama to throw some stones at it, and ordered Lisa to attack it from behind so that Sato could aim at the location of the core and kill the monster, and then get the core inside it. Then they reached a side entrance to the maze. They found a monster lying on the ground, and Sato ordered Buchi to throw stones at its side and then return to the others, and Tama did as Sato said, and they scattered the monster until Sato killed it. But Buchi panicked when she ran out of stones and kept running to help Tama and Lisa until Sato caught her, calmed her down, told them they were fine, and to take the monster's core and continue searching, and he gained the skill of the tamer. Sato and his companions kept searching, and when they found monsters, they followed the same plan and killed the monsters in order to get the core inside them. Over time, Tama, Pucci, and Lisa's levels began to rise a little, and they got some skills, and after they finished collecting the core, Sato noticed that the guys didn't have the energy to continue anymore, so they took a break and he checked his menu to give them some food to regain their energy little by little and asked them to sleep for 3 hours after finishing the food, and Sato stayed awake to watch over them while they slept. After the hours of rest were over, they returned to resume their journey inside the maze, and Sato obtained some additional skills such as detecting, removing and setting traps, digging, treasure hunting and opening chests, and they kept looking for new places that contain any information that may help them solve the puzzle of that maze, and over time, the girls were able to eliminate a monster without Sato's help, which impressed him. Lisa asked Sato to let her make a fire to cook frog meat, and Sato was surprised that she wanted to eat something like that, and when Lisa prepared the food, Sato ate it hesitantly, but it didn't taste bad. Then the girls took a rest under Sato's protection, and Sato began to feel optimistic that they would not stay in the maze for long as the girls continued to develop. When they returned to resume their journey, they found a slimy purple-colored creature. Sato used the fire shot spell on it, but to no avail, so Lisa went to the creature and stabbed it in the place of the core, and it remained motionless. Then Pucci noticed a strange-looking wall. The wolf attacked Sato as soon as it saw a level 40 wolf coming towards them. Then Sato kicked it towards a specific area where one of the traps they had set was located and managed to get rid of the wolf by dropping it to the bottom. Sato and the companions returned to continue their way until they reached a place with a sticky floor and a sticky substance. Sato found people wrapped in cobwebs, and after rescuing them, it turned out that one of them was from a family whose lineage goes back to the Yamato era and is called Jin Pelton, and told Sato that he will give him a reward as soon as he gets out of the maze. While the second person is called Nidoran, a slave trader, and the third person refused to help them and refused anyone to touch him and asked Tama to give him her dagger to cut the cobwebs himself. When Sato saw him, he remembered that he was the one who was violent with Tama in the market when he first saw her, and Tama refused to give him the dagger because it belonged to her master, Sato, from her point of view. And when Sato saw that this person was still acting in a rude manner, he did not want to take him out and told him to find a way to get himself out. That person grumbled, addressing Sato, but Jin Pelton interrupted him by threatening to burn him if he continued to scream and attract the attention of the monsters. After the three of them came out, the newcomers joined Sato's team in searching for the exit to the maze. As they walked, Tama and Pucci sensed the fight nearby. Sato asked the newcomers to stay behind to protect them while he and the girls went to find out what was going on. They found slimy creatures surrounding some people. Sato asked Pucci and Tama to light a torch to distract them and asked Lisa to target their core and destroy them, but that complaining person thought he was stronger than humans and monsters. He joined Sato and his companions in the fight and was supposed to stay behind with Jin and Nidoran. That person stabbed the slime in a random place, and the slime attacked him and knocked him down, and when the person looked at him, he found that his size had become larger and attacked the person again, but this time, Tama saved him and blocked the slime attack until Lisa came and aimed at his core and destroyed it, amidst the grumbler's surprise and astonishment of the grumbler. Meanwhile, Sato found Xena trapped by a slimy creature, so he rushed towards her and attacked the creature at the location of its core and knocked it down. When Xena saw him, she hugged him and was happy that he was still alive, but she interrupted them. She asks Sato if he knows the monster's weaknesses, and he tells her about the core and gets the holy magic skill, the religion of Balion. The half-human girls introduced themselves to Xena and the others and thanked Xena for saving them from being stoned before entering the labyrinth. While some of the soldiers were trying to break the locks of one of the gates, Tama noticed another strange wall. Sato used the map appearance skill and realized it was a hidden door. Then one of the soldiers said he found a treasure chest nearby, and as soon as it was opened, the devil's eye came out again. He was surprised that there were so many humans in that place, as he expected them to kill each other in order to survive. Viscount Jean Pelton attacked the demon with his fire magic, but he needed some time to activate his full power. So the demon took advantage of this and surprised the soldiers with a surprise attack and activated the illusion ability where everyone started imagining things that didn't exist. And Sato tried to save the half-humans by hitting them behind the head until they lost consciousness, and the soldiers started fighting each other because of the demon's eye magic. And Jean attacked the demon with his ability. The devil used an ability to protect himself from Jin's damage. All he felt was heat, as if it was summer. Sato was thinking of attacking with Jin, but he was surprised by the wolf running towards him. Sato stood ready for the wolf and summoned the holy sword from the storage yard. The wolf started to pounce on him, but Sato ended it with a single swing of his sword, splitting the wolf in half. Meanwhile, the demon continues to affect the soldiers, while Xena and Aruna try to protect them by attacking the demon with some of their magical abilities, until Sato, wearing a mask and a blonde wig, throws a large rock at the demon, but it doesn't hit him, so they continue to take turns attacking the demon. Sato runs over, picks up some rocks, and throws them at the demon, hitting him right in the eye. They all think he's going to fall to the ground, but they're shocked when he summons his master to counter the human attack. His master is a close associate of the Demon King and is a huge demon. The master praised the demon's eye for inventing the labyrinth and summoning him to it, and then rewarded him by devouring him completely, trying to scare those in front of him and pushing everyone away using wind magic. But Sato remained resistant to the master's ability to use his. Then he showed the sacred sword and decided to face the demon, but the sword did not shine blue. blue, meaning that he had not yet accepted Sato as its bearer. The demon took advantage of this and attacked Sato using the lightning ability, but Sato was able to resist it, so the demon tried to attack Sato at close range with his claws to try to injure him. Sato was not affected by any of them. So the demon attacked Sato using the petrification ability, but to no avail. So Jin, Xena, and Aruna attacked the demon to help Sato, but their average level of magic does not affect the demon, and when the demon was about to attack them, Sato blocked him by shooting him. And Sato remembered Xena telling him that demons are only affected by using abilities or magical weapons, so Sato decided to use a magic axe instead of a holy sword and attack the demon with the fire shot ability, which caused a large explosion and inflicted great damage. Sato continued to attack the demon with the fire shot ability, continuously heading towards it. After Sato reached a close distance from the demon, he summoned the holy sword again, trying to attack the demon with an effective blow, even though he does not have the title of hero and the sword does not accept to be its holder. But Sato jumped, aiming his attack at the demon using the God Slayer skill to eliminate the demon without getting the full power of the sword, and Sato was able to defeat the demon by a knockout blow and make it fade out of existence, and succeeded in saving everyone and getting out of the maze. After everyone was freed from the maze, Sato kept looking for Buchi, Tama, and Lisa until he found them heading towards him, calling out to him. Then a soldier came to tell Sato that someone was looking for him and wanted to meet him, and Sato asked if the subhumans were his slaves. But he answered in the negative, and when he started to leave, he looked behind him and found, but when he invited them to go with him to meet the person he was looking for, they were happy. Then they found the whiny person looking at them, and when they looked at him, he thanked them for saving him and apologized to Pucci for kicking her and treating her harshly, and then he walked away. Xena came rushing over to hug Sato and check on him. When Sato checked his list of titles, he found that he had acquired a large list of titles while in the maze, the most important of which was the title of Champion. Moments later, Sato met the slave trader Nidorin, who told him that the half-humans had officially become his slaves, which made them very happy because he was one of the few who treated them with kindness and respect. Then, Nidorin offered to take a look at the slaves he had if he wanted to buy more, but Sato told him that he had no intention of buying more. Then a girl came out of the camp in chains and identified herself as Lulu. Then another girl with pink hair appeared, identifying herself as Arisa, and strangely, she knew Sato's name and he did not remember that he had met her before. Sato noticed that Arisa pronounced his name correctly, so he thought to test the two girls and whispered in each one's ear that they had a spider in their hair. The first girl, Lulu, didn't react, but the second girl, Arisa, looked frightened and panicked. Sato was amazed that she understood what he said because he spoke Japanese. Sato ended up making a contract with Nidorin and bought Lulu and Arisa to become slaves along with Tama, Buchi, and Lisa. Later, Arisa introduces herself as 11 years old and born in the Lost Kingdom of Koborg. Lulu introduces herself as 14 years old, and also from Koborg, Sato and his half-human slaves introduced themselves. And Lisa mentions that she was born in the village of the Orange Scales before being exterminated by the Weasel Men, and then sold to the Shiga Kingdom as a slave. Arisa looked at both Pucci and Tama and was surprised that it is rare to see half-humans as slaves, but she expressed her admiration for them and that they would become friends, and Sato was reassured when he saw Arisa accepting the half-humans. Sato and his slaves continued on their way to the market, and in the meantime, they heard the sound of Lulu's hungry belly chirping. So Sato suggested that they go to dinner before returning home and asked them what they wanted to eat, and Pucci and Tama answered meat. Then Lisa answered that she would eat whatever he offered her, but if she had to choose, she would prefer meat, and Arisa wondered that they should be grateful for the idea of feeding them in the first place. Then they all went to the restaurant, and Sato brought them a big feast, and soon they started eating together, and Sato, as usual, kept analyzing and examining the food and its taste and whether it was suitable for any class of people in the city. Then Sato looked at Arisa and Lulu's clothes and decided to go shopping alone and ordered them not to come with him and finish their food until his return. Sato went and bought clothes and a lot of food for the slaves, and on his way back, he saw some hungry stray dogs, so he approached them and gave them some of the food he had with him. After his return, he made his slaves get dressed, which looked better than their previous clothes. Then they returned to the inn and were greeted by Martha and her mother, and the mother told him that his room was still the same and he could stay in it, but there was no room for his slaves as all the rooms were booked. Sato looked around and found all the guests giving them sharp looks. So he decided that Pucci and Tama would stay in his room and that he would camp with Lisa, Lulu, and Arisa. Then, Arisa suggested that they borrow the horse stable to stay in, and the mother agreed. Sato used the stable and let Lisa, Tama, and Buchi stay there until morning, while he stayed in his room with Lulu and Arisa and told them he'd be around if they needed any help. After Sato went up to his room, Lulu wanted to help him take off his coat, but he refused and told her that he preferred to be on his own, and Lulu felt embarrassed. After Sato changed his clothes, he turned around and found that Arisa and Lulu were standing completely naked and feeling a little ashamed as Sato's expression froze, and he wondered to himself why they had done what they had done. He asked them to wear something so they wouldn't get sick. Arisa asked if he wanted to sleep with them, but he refused and told him to go to bed. Arisa was surprised and Lulu was sad because she felt he didn't like them, or maybe they didn't like him enough. But he went to Lulu and wrapped a coat around her and told her that they didn't have to do those things anymore. In the middle of the night, Sato felt restless, and when he opened his eyes, he found Arisa sitting on top of him, completely naked, while he felt unable to move, as if he was under the influence of some kind of magic, and was surprised to find himself topless as he remembered nothing about his relationship with Arisa, but he couldn't control his actions. But his mind doesn't accept what's happening, but he resists and hugs Arisa, telling her that she is prohibited from using magic or skills from now on, and ordering her to nullify any magic she uses now. Then, Sato activates his mental resistance. Sato asked her what she intended to do by influencing him with her magic, and she replied that she only wanted to serve him, that she had fallen in love with him at first sight, that she admired his physical qualities, and that he had become the boy of her dreams and was annoyed when he refused to sleep with her, so she had to use magic on him, and told him that she was Japanese like him, and asked him if he had been resurrected or summoned in this world as a hero. Sato was surprised that she knew all that information, and Arisa told him that he was the second Japanese person she had met since she was born in this world, which means that another Japanese came to the game world. Sato asked her about the difference between rebirth and summoning, and Arisa told him that rebirth occurs after a person dies in the old world, while those who are summoned are forced to live in this world through summoning magic. Sato asked her if the transferees retain their personal traits and memories from the old world, and she said yes. Sato then remembered that he looked younger and started at level 1 and didn't have any magical skills, but he remembered that he had the fallen meteors and matte appearance abilities, and then asked Arisa how she ended up as a slave. The next morning, Martha woke Sato up and told him that his girlfriend was waiting for him, but Xena quickly tried to remedy the situation and that they were not a couple. But they were surprised when they entered the room and found Lulu sleeping in the next bed and Arisa sleeping next to him, all of them naked. Xena got angry and rushed out. Sato quickly got dressed and headed outside to catch up with her. Sato catches up to Xena and stops her with a dance move and tells her that she misunderstood, but Xena thinks that Sato has bought slaves to serve him at night because Lilio told her that information. Sato tells her that it depends on the person, but he bought them to help him with his daily tasks and offers to take her on a tour of the clothing store. On their way, they met Arisa, who expressed her happiness that there was no trouble between them because of her, and Sato asked her to go and summon the others to join them. Sato remembered their conversation yesterday when he asked her about her story, and she told him that she was a princess in real life and tried to use the knowledge she had before she was reborn to make her country richer, but she failed after her country went into famine. A neighboring country took advantage of this situation and occupied them, executed the king and crown prince, and ordered the empire's magicians to force them to become slaves. And one day, a demon appeared from somewhere and destroyed the castle and her city completely. So Arisa and Lulu fled to the mountains because of what happened, and they stayed there until Nidoran took them to trade them. In the present, Arisa returned with Lisa, Tama, and Pochi and told Sato that Lulu did not feel well and left her sleeping upstairs. So Sato gave her a money nabel and ordered her to take care of buying all the daily supplies and necessities, and that he appointed her to be in charge of negotiations and budgets and ordered Lisa to protect her from thieves and kidnappers. And Arisa asked him if she could use her magical abilities, and Sato agreed and let them go on their mission while he and Xena would go to the clothing store. Before they start their day together, Xena asks Sato about his plans for the day, and he tells her that he wants to look for an inn that accepts half humans, and Xena offers to help him look for the right one. Sato and Xena went to a hostel to meet a girl named Nadi to ask her about bacon houses and hostels. Nadi told him that if he wanted to live with subhumans, he should live in the western town or between it and the labor camps, and this area has a slightly higher crime rate, but in return, the rent will not be high. She showed him 3 places, but they had a lot of problems. For example, Nadi told him that the owner of the first property had been assassinated by a criminal organization. The second property had a brothel across the street, and the third property had a criminal organization's hideout underneath and a secret passage into the city. Sato refused to rent any of them, and Nadi told him that she would go back to the office and check if there were more suitable properties. Sato told her that he would get back to her in the evening, and when he asked Xena if she wanted to go somewhere specific, Nadi suggested that they go to the flea market that opened yesterday in the square, and then approached Xena and whispered that there was a theater outside where they performed very popular shows and it was a good place to date, and Xena felt very shy. Sato and Xena wandered around the market and inspected the goods on display until they met Tama, Buchi, and the others on their way. They seemed to be having fun as they bought many clothes, and Arisa changed the color of her hair because the townspeople believe that purple brings bad luck. Then Arisa asked Sato to buy flashcards for the Sheikah Kingdom language, and Sato thought it would be useful in teaching Tama and Buchi to read, and they went to buy them. After that, Arisa wondered if Sato and Xena were planning to attend the show in the arena in a little while, and Sato gave her money to buy tickets for all of them. He apologized to Xena because the girls would be attending the show with them, but Xena didn't mind. Sato then went to the accessory store and bought an earring for Xena as a gift, and it looks good on her. Then Arisa interrupted them by saying that she liked another earring and wanted to buy it, so Sato bought it for her and another one for Lulu. Later, Sato and his friends went to the theater show, and during the show, Sato looked around and found that Tama and Buchi had fallen asleep in the middle of the show while Lisa, Arisa, and Xena were watching the show with interest. Then Tama and Buchi woke up in anticipation after hearing cheers, but Sato reassured them that people were reacting to the show. After the show was over, Sato was wandering around when he noticed a handkerchief that had fallen from a lady who passed by him. So he stopped her to return the handkerchief to her, and she realized that it was the person sitting behind her in the show and asked him what he thought of the ending. And she told him that it had been changed, as the magician was supposed to die by the Holy Night, but the nobles protested the ending, so it was changed in a random way. Sato returned to his companions, who seemed to be enjoying the show and interacting with the action. Arisa kept talking to Xena about marriage and asked her if she had joined the army because she didn't want to get married, which she considered a selfish act, since she should take responsibility for a home and a family. But Xena said that she couldn't go against her family's wishes, and Arisa warned her that if she continued to play the role of a good girl, she would end up having the person she loved kidnapped by another woman, which made Xena frustrated. Sato corrected the situation and scolded Arisa for talking to Xena, apologized to Xena, and ordered Arisa to apologize as well, and then the girls all went to buy their favorite food. After Sato and Xena were alone on the way back, they found Lilio and Yona, along with another soldier named Ro, looking tired and exhausted. Xena asked them why, and they told her that they had been fighting with fanged ants after spotting a group of rat men who had crossed the city limits. So Xena used the healing breeze to regain some of their energy and told Sato that she was going to take care of the other wounded. Sato heard screams from behind him, and when they went to the place of the sound, they found Buchi holding an ant after she had killed it, and the rest of the girls were looking to see if there were more around. And when Sato looked at the map, he saw that more enemies were coming and told everyone to get ready to fight. Then they heard the sound of the city bells ringing, warning of the coming danger. Sato kept analyzing the situation and studying the strength of the enemies through the map while thinking of a plan to eliminate them. But when the ants started trying to enter the city, they were burning and falling to the ground thanks to the protective barrier against monsters. Sato ordered Arisa to take Lulu and hide behind the tavern, and ordered Tama and Buchi to protect the inn, and he would set up a fortress with Lisa and then get rid of any monsters near the city. On the other hand, the army began to prepare for the coming monsters, and when they started to enter the city, the soldiers tried to close the gate, but one ant remained stuck under the door and did not close completely, allowing the rest of the ants to pass into the city. Xena began to attack the ants with her magical abilities, and then everyone began to fight and defend the city and shoot down as many flying fanged ants as possible. Sato suspected that some ants may have entered the office of the real estate club, so he ordered Lisa to take care of it here while he went to check the office. Sato went there and summoned his weapon to face the monsters, and when he entered, he found an ant, so he knocked it away and found a secret underground door in its place. When he opened it, he started calling for Nadi to make sure she was okay, and it turned out that she was hiding downstairs. Then he was interrupted by the office manager helping Nadi up to the ground, called Yosaratoya, and Sato looked at Yosaratoya, as he has a distinctive shape and long ears, and this is because he is a forest dweller. Sato left the office after making sure that Nadi and Yosaratoya were safe, and found that the soldiers had taken care of the ants and burned them down. Xena came to talk to Sato and told him that she was going to join the guard to make sure that there were no more problems in the town, even though it was her day off. After saying goodbye, Sato was interrupted by a soldier's voice from behind, asking him if he was Mr. Lisa, because she was going to sell him the core for money. The soldier told him that this was a matter for the civilian government and asked him to hand over the core. So Sato made a contract with the soldier to sell it to him officially, which infuriated the soldier. Sato and the soldier kept calculating the number of nuclei and the price of each nucleus, and Sato acquired several skills such as math and fabrication, as well as the title of expert trader. In the evening, after Sato and his companions returned to the inn, they prepared a large feast containing various types of food, but Sato kept looking at Lulu with concern, and it seemed that she was not improving well. So he decided to go to the nearest pharmacy to get the appropriate treatment for her, and on his way, he met two people who recognized him because he was among those he had saved in the maze, and they offered to accompany him on the road so that he would not be alone at night and offer him a drink. Sato agreed to their offer, but they ended up in the brothel, and after Sato left the place, he found a palm feather that fell on his hand, and when he caught it, he found that it was a shadow palm feather, so he decided to keep it and give it to Buchi and Tama when he returned. On his way back, he heard a sound coming from a dark alley, and when he went there, he used his night vision ability and saw monsters surrounding someone in the corner of the alley, and after they sensed his presence, they rushed towards him and Sato shot at them, but they were able to dodge his attacks and respond with an attack on him, which Sato also avoided. Then another monster launched a different attack on Sato to surround him, which forced him to fly up and try to shoot them again. and managed to hit them. Sato then went to the person who was trapped and tried to check on him, but found that he had red hair, and next to him was a child wrapped in cloth, and it seemed that the person was about to die, and asked Sato to take care of the child and told him that she was a princess, and Sato tried to save him by doing some first aid. Sato went to the office of Yosura Toya and Nadi, and when he looked at their status on a map, he found that they were asleep, so he entered the office by opening the locks, and after entering, he put the injured person and the baby on the couch. Then he heard the voice of Nadi and Yosura Toya, who woke up and came down to check the office, and when they saw Sato, he told them that he brought someone who knows Yosura Toya, and that he is seriously injured and must be taken care of. When Yosura Toya examined his face, Nadi recognized him as the well-known Night Rat Man. When Sato revealed the baby, he found that she looks like Yosura Toya and has long ears like him and seems to be of the same species. When the child woke up, Yosura Toya recognized her and called her Mia. When Mia saw Sato, she smiled a little and then went back to sleep again. The sound of the injured knight's coughing interrupted them, so Nadi went quickly to get the priest Euron, who lives near them, to take care of him, and Sato went to accompany her so that she would not be alone at night. The next day, Arisa became angry when she learned that Sato had gone to a brothel yesterday and that the smell of his coat was mixed with the smell of a child and an animal. Sato told her about what happened to him yesterday on his way to buy medicine for Lulu, and Lulu woke up to their voices, and Sato asked her if she was feeling better, and she told him that she was much better, so he gave her medicine to take when needed. Sato then went to the office and asked Nadi about the knight and Mia, who were still asleep. Nadi told him that Mia didn't seem to have any damage, but she was a little tired, and her symptoms were similar to magic point anemia, according to Yosura Toya. When Sato examined her, he found that she was gradually recovering, and Nadi told him that mana helps in healing, but it is expensive, so they will have to take her to a place that has a lot of mana, and there is only the Count's Castle or the Valley of the Dragons. Sato and Nadi went up to check on Mia, who started asking her about her identity, and Nadi introduced herself and told her that Sato is the person who saved her and the knight last night, and Mia let him in, and it turns out that Mia has the gift of seeing spirits, and when she saw Sato, she said that he is a spirit user, but he did not understand anything. Then Nadi went to prepare some food for Mia and left Sato with Mia. Sato started asking her what spirits are, and Mia told him that they look fluffy and bright, but they seemed to be less talkative, so she answered the question. After Mia finished her food, Sato decided to go and leave Mia to get some rest, but Mia asked him to stay for a while. After that, Sato returned to the inn, and in the meantime, the girls were learning the Shiga language with Arisa, accompanied by Martha's sister Yoni. And when Buchi saw Sato, she told him that she had learned some words, and when Sato wanted to test them, he found that they could not distinguish between animals yet, so he began to teach them the names of the different animals and how to write them, and Martha came to tell Yoni to help her clean the stable, but she told her that she had cleaned it with the help of Buchi and Tama. Sato and the girls sat down to eat lunch together, and Sato told them about what happened last night and about Princess Mia and the Rat Knight. The girls were excited to meet Mia, so Sato told them they would go visit her in a little while. Lulu was silent and distracted the whole time, and Sato asked her if she wanted to go with them. Afterward, everyone went to visit Mia, and the girls introduced themselves and expressed their admiration for her looks. Sato told them to take care of Mia until his return. As he was about to leave, Mia grabbed the hem of his coat and asked him to stay, while Sato wondered why she was so attached to him so quickly. After Sato joined them, Sato and Nadi started talking, and she asked him about his work as a merchant and what happened to his horse carriage. She then suggested he buy a 2-horse-drawn carriage from a merchant who was retiring soon if he could afford it, but Sato told her he had no experience in driving a carriage. Sato agreed to buy the carriage and learned to drive from Lulu later. When Nadi asked him if he wanted to know the price, Sato looked at a merchant's carriage on the street and found that it was worth 18 gold pieces, so he took out a navel of money from his pocket and gave it to Nadi to buy the carriage and told her to keep the rest of the money as a commission. After that, Sato and the girls went to the forest to start learning camping together, and they started setting up the tent, cutting grass, planting, collecting firewood and wood, and the girls prepared the food. After finishing lunch, Sato sat watching Buchi and Tama play and saw some animals coming towards him. Sato remembered that they were the animals that Sato had given some food to before and brought him food in return to thank him for his help. Tama and Buchi rushed to Sato when they noticed them near him, but he told them that they were peaceful and wanted to give him some fruit to thank him, and in return, he gave them some meat before they left happily. Later, Sato and Lulu went to pick up the new chariot, and Lulu took the wheel. Arisa suggested that they use the chariot to help Mia return home, so Sato asked Nadi where her home was, and she told him that she was from Elf Village in the southwest of the Shiga Kingdom. So Sato decided to learn from Lulu to drive the chariot until Yusura Toya returned and discussed the matter with him. Sato and Lulu kept driving the carriage, and Sato tried to ease Lulu's nerves a little and act naturally like other girls. And Lulu gradually began to exchange conversations with Sato about her and Arisa. But Sato noticed that there were changes in the weather, so he asked Lulu to start teaching him to drive so that they could hurry back home, and with time, he became a skillful driver of the cart and earned the title of coachman. and Sato noticed on his way that there was a bird standing on a tree branch and looking at him. Then, he flew and stood on the cart that was traveling in the opposite direction. After they arrived home, the girls went to welcome him and found that Mia had gone out with them and was able to move, and Sato asked her if she wanted to eat something, and she asked him for honey candy after hearing about it from Buchi and Tama, so he ordered Arisa and Lisa to bring it, and after they left, Sato spotted that bird again standing on the roof of a house and looking at it intensely, and Tama and Buchi also noticed that bird. Sato and the girls return to the office and are greeted by Nadi, who tells them that Yosura Toya is sitting with someone named Meitzi. When Sato goes to meet Yosura Toya, he finds that Meitzi is the rat knight who was with Mia, and Sato wants to hear from Meitzi about what happened to them before Sato runs into them on the road that night. That Mia had been kidnapped by lizards and imprisoned in a place called the Cradle, but she managed to escape and met Mizzy on the way. They were on their way to Salo City to meet Yosura Toya, but after the flying ants attacked the city, it attracted the attention of the lizards, and they were attacked by the lizards. Sato thought about talking to director Yosura Toya about escorting Mia home, but then they heard a screaming sound from below, so they rushed down, and it turned out that the girls were afraid of the sound of thunder outside, and when he looked at Tama, he found her distracted, but she was looking at that bird standing on the table opposite them, and when Sato looked at him, he found a mysterious person with purple eyes wearing a hood on his head standing next to the bird, and it seemed to be targeting Sato and his companions. Meitzi rushed to attack that person, but he quickly fell to the ground, and everyone became nauseous after he used mental magic. Even Sato was affected by it, but Arisa tried to stop his magic with her mental magic ability, and Sato took advantage of that moment and activated magic resistance to get out of the aura of the mysterious person. When he checked him, he found that his name was Zen, and is level 41, and the name seemed familiar to Sato until he remembered that it was the name of the hero in the theater show he was watching, and Zen spoke to Mia and told her that he had come to retrieve her, but Sato stood in front of him and introduced himself. Sato told him that he would let him live in exchange for not interfering with him, and Sato told him that he did not favor violence, but he would defend Mia and would not allow him to take her against her will, and Zane told him that if he wanted to protect Mia, he would have to do it with the force of arms, and when Sato looked behind him, he found that Pucci, Tama, and Nadi had fainted under the influence of Zane's magic, so Sato attacked him, but found that Zane's body was transparent as if he did not exist, and then he grabbed Sato's foot and hung him against the wall using shadow magic, and Arisa tried to defend Sato, but her attack was useless. Zen returned the attack to Arisa, and Sato wanted to take advantage of the opportunity and shot Zen's shadows. Then Yusura Toya stood in front of Arisa using his staff to block Zen's attack, so Sato took the opportunity and used a magic tool that knocked Zen out, and Sato was able to extricate himself. Zane was surprised by this, and did not expect someone like Sato to have that ability, while Arisa realized the vast difference in level between her and him, but Mia told her to run away and leave her. But Arisa refused this because it is against the wishes of Sato, her master who wants to protect her, and told her that she will find a way for her to escape, and Sato wanted to distract Zane until Arisa's plan is complete, so he pretended not to know his name and asked him about his identity, but he ignored his question and asked him if he was a professional assassin in the guise of a merchant. Then Arisa screamed at Sato to jump away and hit Zane with a powerful magical attack that drained a large amount of her energy, but it did not affect Zane much, and Sato tried to shoot him again, but it did not work, and Zane decided to leave and kidnapped Mia from behind Sato, who could not stop him, and told Sato that if he wanted to confront him, he would come to him in the cradle, which is where Zane belongs. After Zane left, Lisa and Lulu came back from outside, and Sato ordered them to heal the others and try to contact Huron and Xena to help them, and went after Zane to bring Mia back. Sato landed in the spot where Zen was running away from before she disappeared, and felt as if he had dived into the depths of the sea. Then he realized that his stamina was slowly draining, and he must find Mia as soon as possible. And when he tried to locate his location on the map, he found no information, and Sato tried to free himself from that mysterious place until he heard the voice of himself wondering if this was a video game. Sato then found himself in a palace-like place and found Zen standing in front of him and wondering how he managed to extricate himself from the shadow prison, and told Sato that he would be put under a test and must pass it to reach that room and fight him there, then took him out of the palace, which means he will start entering the palace again and undergo the test. Sato began to gather his thoughts, then checked the map to find out where Mia was and found that she was under Count Salo's territory, then began his journey to enter the palace and fight Zen, and found a warning on the gate in Elvish that the life-saving mechanisms would only depend on the Elvish faction and that this place was a training ground. Sato opened the gate, and after entering, he began his test to try to enter the cradle, and he continued to fight and eliminate everyone who stood in his way, regardless of his type. And the cradle is 200 floors and is designed in the form of a huge tree. And he began thinking in the style of a game developer to be able to overcome the obstacles until he reached the place where the forest fairy is located, a place that leads to a shortcut to the floors of the cradle. After the forest fairy saw Sato, she began to examine him as if it was the first time she saw a human being, and she liked him very much and told him that she was hungry, and he told her that he only had meat. So the fairy told him that she wanted magic points, but he was reluctant to give them to her until the fairy approached him and kissed him to absorb the necessary magic points, and in return, the fairy opened the shortcut for him without fighting as a thank you, and when he checked the map, he found that it was the path leading to Torazayoya's room. When Sato took the shortcut and entered the room, he found that it was an old laboratory. Sato deduced that the person who created the cradle was Torazayoya, found his diary, and started reading it, and realized that he was from the same lineage as Miya and Yosara Toya. Sato turned back to the forest fairy again and asked her if there was a way to the upper floors of the cradle. She told him to stand in a small circle of fairies and asked him which floor he wanted to go to. He told her that he wanted to go to the Zen room. The fairy refused and described it as impossible, so he asked her to go to the highest floor he could enter. The fairy told him that she would take him to the 100th floor where the Guardian Knight's room is located. Sato went to the Guardian's room immediately and found him and 3 girls in the room. The 3 girls looked very similar. One of them stopped Sato to get ready and started cleaning weapons and armor. When Sato checked their profiles, he found that they were dwarves. One of them told him that he must defeat the Guardian of that room in order to continue his ascent. The Guardian, called the Iron Golem, attacked Sato with the help of the 3 dwarves, but Sato shot him in the head, knocking him down, and Sato was able to defeat him easily. The dwarves were amazed at Sato's victory so quickly and thought about trying to block Sato or retreat until they united to attack Sato using their magical skill. Then 2 of them withdrew and only 1 remained to fight Sato using her sword, so Sato knocked her unconscious to avoid fighting with her and put her on the floor quietly and began to examine that room and found many weapons and potions in it. Then he heard the girl's voice muttering in her sleep to apologize to her master and remembered the slaves he owned when they called him by the same name. Sato continued his way until he reached a room similar to the forest fairy's room and found her lying on the floor and thought she was dead, so he took out the bag of water to pour it on her body, but she took it from him to quench her thirst and come back to life again and asked him to give her magic points again. It turns out that she is the same fairy who was downstairs, but she is in several places at the same time and they are all connected to each other, so he asked her to move him to the top floor, but she failed to do so because the connection between her and herself on the top floor was broken, and she told him that he can only go up to the 80th floor, so Sato agreed to that. After he climbed to the 90th floor, he found that it was full of tree branches and flying insects, so he took out his weapon and started killing the insects so that he could reach the stairs on the opposite side, but he used too much force that caused a hole in that floor, and when Sato looked through it, he found that he could take a shortcut outside by flying to the Zen room where Miya is. When he arrived there, he found Zen waiting for him with Miya unconscious. Sato asked Sato to retrieve Miya without a fight, but Zen refused and insisted on fighting him, confident that he would defeat Sato due to the difference in level between them. Then Zen trapped him inside a trap with 7 of the dwarves he had met below, but the one he faced was not among them, along with 3 guards, and if he could defeat them, his reward would be the holy sword Galahorn. Zen tells him that he will simply die at this rate and grants the dwarves the god's blessing ability, then takes Miya upstairs and disappears from Sato's sight, who is now faced with 7 dwarves and 3 guardian knights. Thanks to the god's grace ability that Zen gave to his guards, they increased their strength and the amount of damage they caused, and they started attacking Sato as soon as Zen left. Then one of the guards stepped forward to attack Sato, who took out his weapon and blocked the attack, and launched several attacks on the guard using the spear and managed to take him down. Then 2 of the 7 dwarfs attacked him using axes. Sato succeeds in knocking them unconscious and continues to block all the attacks of the enemies and takes them down one by one, but the dwarfs try to resist and fight again using magic arrows, and one of them manages to split his weapon in half with her sword and continues to attack Sato, who dodges all the blows until he manages to break her sword as she did with him. Although they cannot win, they refuse to give up and continue to get up again, and one of the dwarves tries to advance and approach Sato, who threw his weapon, declaring his intention not to fight her, and as she tried to hit him with the sword, but Sato caught it with only 2 fingers and gave her the knockout blow that knocked her unconscious immediately. After finishing his fight with the guards, he walked towards Zen and Miya and found Zen applauding him warmly and congratulating him on the victory and handing him the sword of Galahorn as he had promised. Sato asked him what exactly he wanted, and Zen told him that he was looking for a hero who could kill him after his previous life ended in a brutal way and he was resurrected to this world, in which he went through a suffering unlike the previous one. He was captured by a nobleman who fell in love with his wife and executed him after fabricating several false charges, but he returned from the dead to take revenge on the nobleman and all his family members. So Zane killed every member of his family, even his ex-wife, and Zane turned all the dead into living dead like him to be his own army to take revenge on the royal family. After Zane fulfilled his desire for revenge, he kept looking for a way to end his life and reunite with his wife, but to no avail, and he is still looking for a way to get rid of the curse of immortality. Sato was touched by Zen's story, and Zen asked him to finish him before he turned into the spirit of a demon king. So Sato drew the sword full of power and launched a crushing attack on Zen, who thanked him for fulfilling his wish before he faded and died. After Zane's body faded, a ghost came out of his cloak, telling Zane that he failed this time, but they will meet again before disappearing from the place. Then Zane heard the sound of a message saying that the cradle will self-destruct and the place must be evacuated immediately. So Sato approached Mia to wake her up, and after she woke up, he asked her how to cancel the self-destruction of the cradle, and she told him that she could try. Sato holds her in his arms, but she tells him she can't. Sato tries to do something, tells her they can still escape, and starts trying to figure out how to stop the place from being destroyed and save everyone. He realizes that there is less than a minute left before the self-destruction, so he rushes to gather the guards in one place and asks Mia to get them out of the place until he returns with the last person and promises her that he will come out alive. After the countdown ended, Sato rushed to catch up with the last person in the cradle to save him and went down several floors down, and after he came out of the hole he had made earlier, he found the place of the sleeping elf. So he picked her up and took her to the forest fairy and asked her to move them out of the tree, and she told him that she could move them to the hollow tree in the basin in exchange for some seeds and 3 times more magic points. After she moved them to the hollow, Sato found a wave of salt coming towards them. Sato ran away with the dwarf on his back and kept running as fast as he could and thought of a solution to survive that wave until he found in front of him the sea, so he thought to make a wall of it to counteract the salt wave by turning it into steam, and he used the skill of gunshots and kept firing more of them until he was able to stop the wave and escape safely to the top of the hill away from the waves. After Sato returned to the city, he found the girls waiting for him, and Lisa quickly went to embrace him as soon as she saw him, crying after they thought he was dead, and they all welcomed his return. And after Sato saw Arisa, he remembered Zen's words to him before his death. If the newborn person he is traveling with is dear to him, he must let him show discipline using the power gifted by God that he carries and not allow her to end up like him. Then he met Mia, and Yosaratoya thanked him in her official way. Then he met the 7 dwarves, who showed their gratitude for saving their lives and that they would obey him as their new master. But they asked him to give them time to put Zen's wedding ring in his wife's grave, and one of them would stay with him until the rest returned, and Sato gave her the name Nana, which became her new name amid Arisa's great anger. After that, they all started their journey back home, and Mia asked Yusara to stay with Sato and return home, and Toya agreed. Then Sato went to the registry office to investigate what happened, but Sato made up another story, and as soon as Xena learned of his return, she went quickly to check on him after learning that he had been kidnapped. After Sato reassured her, he gave her the earrings he bought her last time they were in the market, which made Xena very happy. Then Sato told her that he had taken on the task of transporting Mia home, and that he would tell her many stories about his journey upon his return, and Xena made a promise with him. After everyone finished preparing the carriage that Sato will travel with Mia, Tuya asked him to take care of Mia until she arrives home. Then Sato and his companions set off to start the journey to bring Mia home to the elf village. And after they passed through the city gate, Xena followed them on her horse to say goodbye to Sato before he left and told him that she would be free in her life and would join him in the spring after her older brother agreed, and Sato and his companions left to start their journey to the elf village. The companions stopped halfway to take a break and eat lunch. Then Sato realized that Mia does not eat meat because she is an elf, so she ate another type of food, and after finishing, Sato found that Lisa was cooking something on the fire, and when he told her that he was full, she told him that she was preparing a snack to eat during the trip, and Arisa stored it in her own space, which seems different from Sato's space, and he decided to check his storage space later to get more information about its characteristics. Lisa, Tama, and Buchi were putting things in the wagon, Mia and Arisa were feeding the horses, and then they all repaired the straw pillows to make them suitable for sleeping. Then Sato made some small dolls for the girls, each doll resembling its owner, and distributed them to them. Sato then ordered Buchi and Tama to search the rocks, and Arisa went with them and told them that he would call them when he left. Then he heard the sound of some tunes nearby and found that Mia was playing with a leaf, and Nana was sitting next to her. So he joined them to listen, and Nana asked her to teach her to whistle with a leaf, and Mia taught them to whistle after Lisa and Lulu joined them. When Sato tried to play, he made a cacophonous sound, and the girls kept looking at him. Then Sato decided to use the skill of music and upgraded to the highest level and tried again, but without success. So Mia pulled the paper from him to stop playing, but Lulu encouraged him that he would get better if he tried to practice. Then Arisa came and asked him to accompany her for a while. Arisa and Sato went to the rocks where he asked Tama and Buchi to look, and when they climbed to the top of a rock, Arisa pointed to a place, and Sato found that it was not just rocks, and that it looked as if there had been a shrine in this place before, and their shape looked familiar to Sato. And then Sato began to see memories from his childhood until he realized that the shrine was the one near his grandfather's house in the real world. Then he remembered a conversation with a mysterious girl who told him that for them to be together, he needed divine intervention. Then Arisa cut the cord of his thoughts and memories that he was about to fall, and Sato kept thinking about his memories and that he didn't feel that it was an illusion or that he had been subjected to mental magic. It seems to be his memories, but he doesn't remember that it actually happened. When Sato examined a rock, he found that it looked like a broken travel portal, and Arisa asked him if he could fix it, but he told her that it was impossible and that it was time to leave. When they returned, they found that Pucci had caught a prey to eat, and Lisa asked him to slaughter it before leaving, and Lulu asked her to teach her the butcher, and they went to prepare the prey. Then Tama also found that she had caught something, and when he looked at it, he found that it was a small monster, and Sato warned her about it. Then Arisa asked to carry it a little, but soon the little monster managed to escape from them. Tama was sad that her prey had escaped and apologized to Sato, who comforted her and lifted her spirits, and then they resumed their journey again. During the trip, Sato checked his storage space and found that he was carrying a book of shadow magic spells and remembered that it became his after he killed Zen and tried to read it to find out how magic works. And Sato finished the novice stage in knowing magic and thought of making a soft lotion from water magic for Pucci. Then Sato continued his study of magic and approached the reading of daily magic, which was a little more difficult than other types. Then he thought to copy the existing parts of water magic and make a new spell. Then Sato found some ratmen near them on the map and remembered his conversation with Maizi, and that Maizi told him that he would go to find his friends after they were separated while trying to protect Mia. Sato ordered Lisa to stop the carriage and get out to meet Maizi's friends, and as soon as they saw Mia, they rushed to her and welcomed her back. Then Sato decided to sleep in this place until morning, but one of the ratmen told him that they would precede them because there was something they wanted to do, and Sato agreed to that. Sato and his buddies then started hunting for prey to save food until the next day, with the help of Tama and Lisa cooked it for them. Then Sato asked Mia to help him with the cleaning spell, and Mia used the bubble washing spell that cleaned them all. In the evening, the girls went to sleep in the camp, and Sato stayed outside to watch over them and spent the time trying to learn to make new spells on his own, and then tried to find out more about his storage space and what he could store, and discovered that he could store things from 3 meters away, but no further than that, and could separate each element from mixed things, but could not separate things that were mixed or melted. Sato then tried to dissect one of his prey, but to no avail, so he examined the toolbox and found that it had less space than the main storage space, and began to learn the difference between them as the tools change over time in the toolbox, unlike the storage space. In the morning, everyone started their day with breakfast, and then returned to resume their march to the elf village. Then Sato found Mizzy and his companions had come to welcome them and thank them for their rescue, and Sato found that they had dug a grave for all the rat men who died to protect Mia and went to visit the grave, and Mia appealed to the tree using her magical power to let the rat men rest in peace. After Sato and his companions continued walking, they found a horseman riding a horse with 2 old people on the ground below him and taunting them. So Sato stopped to find out what was going on. Then the horseman looked at him for a while and continued on his way, and Lisa told him that this is the horseman who tried to take the flying ant core from them in the city. So he went to help the injured person by giving him a health point recovery potion, and once he used it, all his injuries were healed. After a while, Sato and the guy stopped to take a break, and Sato kept learning alchemy to make his own potions so that he doesn't run out quickly, and he succeeded in making the first formula, but it must be stored in a specialized vial or it will decompose. And Sato found that the equipment is about to run out and will need to buy more, and when he checked the map, he found a town called Noki in Kohano country and decided to go there tomorrow. In the evening, after they all went to sleep, Sato started making magic tools, and Arisa joined him and asked her to try the first tool he made, and after she tried it, it lit up a little but did not do any work, and when Sato tried it, it released a great energy that woke everyone up and prepared for an attack, but Sato apologized to them because he was the one who caused that noise. In the morning, they resumed their journey, and Sato found some empty places on the map and preferred not to endanger everyone and avoid those places until they reached the city of Nuki, and Sato went to ask about the alchemy store in the city. After he arrived at the store with Lisa, he found a person wearing a hood rushing out of the store and bumped into him on his way out. But Sato continued on his way and entered the store and noticed that the man owned a slave and made him carry all the items on his shoulder and treated him badly. Sato told her that he wanted to buy some elixirs to make potions, and she replied that she could sell him about 3 for a silver coin each, and that she couldn't give him a discount because she was short of cores. Sato checked his space and found that he had a lot of cores from the labyrinth and the cradle, and asked her to give him the scrolls and some stabilizers, and she told him that she wanted level 3 or higher cores for that. Sato thought to himself that it was illegal to buy or sell cores, so he asked her for vials for potions, but she told him that someone had bought all the stock today by order of the Viceroy of Sedum, so Sato remembered the person he met at the entrance of the store. But Linmaris told him to check the pottery workshop if he needed it. After Sato and Lisa left the store, he asked her to go back to the others and help them prepare dinner until his return because he was going to a place he wanted to visit. Then Sato decided to disguise himself and return to the store in the evening to sell her the core in exchange for flasks and scrolls. So Lin Maris offered to buy wind magic scrolls, which are scrolls that help support the sails of ships to sail faster. Sato bought the scrolls and stored them in his space in anticipation of what awaited them in the empty areas. And he wandered alone in the forest at night and explored the empty roads around him and began to feel that he was being watched or followed, and found that he was in a place called the Forest of Illusions. But Sato felt that it was just an ordinary forest. Sato found that someone was approaching him on the map. Then he heard a sound and was able to dodge the attack that came after the sound and destroy it. Then he found a group of knights heading towards him and a little girl riding what looks like a black panther. Sato tried to apologize to her for invading her territory while her knights were attacking him, but she tried to attack him using earth magic, and Sato was able to easily block it. He asked her to stop attacking him. Then he found a huge bird landing above the girl and her animal and found that there was an old lady on it. And as soon as she saw Sato, she improvised and knelt in front of him, expressing her happiness to see him, and introduced herself as the witch who takes care of the source of mana in the Forest of Illusions. The witch hosted Sato in her castle and thought Sato was one of Bolinen's emissaries because of the bell he got from Maisie the Rat Man. Sato explained the misunderstanding to her. Then a child named Anina Mana came in to apologize to him for what happened, and Sato accepted her apology. Then they started working on the potions and told Sato that they made an agreement with Count Kohano that they would give him 300 vials of special potion twice a year in exchange for protecting their forest from criminals and thieves. And Sato told her that he started learning to make his own potions. So the lady offered to teach him a special recipe in exchange for a favor. Then Sato went out with the lady to do the service she asked him to do, and she used an ability to light up the forest path at night, and he went on his way, following the light that the lady sent along the way, and the lady's request to him was to deliver a message to the giant of the forest. When Sato returned home, he found Arisa waiting for him at the door and began questioning him. The next morning, Sato was having breakfast at a tavern in Sedum when he heard two people wearing hoods talking at the table next to him, interrupted by the voice of the owner of the pottery workshop that Sato was waiting for to place an order to make bottles for him. But the man told him that he could not do so due to some laws in the town, but he could allow him to learn pottery in his workshop. Sato listened to the conversation of the two people at the next table and tried not to pay attention to them, but their looks intrigued him until he was interrupted by Arisa, Nana, and Mia, who had come to take him home. In the morning, Sato decided to go to the workshop to learn how to make pottery and bottles with the girls. Then he found on the map the child Aninamana being chased by some people, so they all rushed to help her. After they arrived at the place, Sato ordered the girls to stop the people chasing the child from approaching the carriage, and the child told him that they were chasing her to steal the potions that lead her to the count according to the agreement, so he asked her to enter the city and leave the thieves to them. Sato and the girls return to help her, but find that the thieves have deliberately smashed the potions and have fled, so he orders Lisa, Tama, and Buchi to follow them. Sato started collecting the remaining intact potions and found that there were 120 out of 300. Sato noticed that one vial was broken but still had some potions left in it. He thought that if he put it in his inventory, he could fill 40 vials and told them to deliver the intact vials and dispose of the rest later. After Sato, Arisa, and Ninimana arrived. Sato went with them to see the Count's deputy and explained the situation to him, but the deputy insisted that the agreement was still in agreement and gave them until sundown to give him the rest of the vials. Sato noticed that the deputy's voice sounded familiar and found the person he had met at the alchemy shop standing behind him. Sato wondered if they could get permission to buy the rest of the potions from the market, but he was surprised that the deputy rejected the idea before it was put to him, which meant that the Count could read minds, and told him that the agreement was between the forest witch and him, and that the potions must be made by the witch. Sato remembered when he was with them while making the potions and thought that the potions made by the child would not be accepted by the Count as such, and suspected that the deputy was trying to make the witch fail to honor the agreement for some reason, and remembered that the deputy and the person behind him were the two people sitting at the table next to him wearing hoods to hide their features. Sato thought he wanted to get rid of the Forest of Illusions and build a new town in its place. So he activated the skills of fabrication, negotiation, and judgment to reach an agreement with the deputy, and Sato told him that the text of the agreement did not contain the part that it must be made by the witch only. The deputy asked him about his knowledge of the details of the agreement, and Sato told him that the witch was taking care of him. Feeling trapped and unable to respond, he agreed to bring him potions of the same quality as the witch's potions. And Sato offered to bring him potions of a higher level, and the deputy agreed to his offer. And Sato asked him to document that agreement in writing, but the person behind the deputy got angry with him, and Sato told him that he is a merchant and merchants prefer to deal with caution, and the deputy agreed to his request. After they left the Count's office, the girl was worried that they would not be able to finish before sunset due to the lack of time. Then the rest of the girls returned and brought a lot of herbs and formulas to make potions. but the girl told them that this is impossible as long as they do not have the necessary vials to keep the potions in them, and Sato remembered what happened in the alchemy shop and the Count's office from the person who bought all the vials and caused the shattering of the potions, and felt that there is a plot by the deputy and his partner against the Forest of Illusions, and that he became a part of it. Sato and the girls went to the pottery workshop to ask the owner to help them complete the task, but he told them that it was impossible due to lack of time. But Sato only asked him to lend them the workshop and the kiln, and they will take over the task of making the bottles, and the owner agreed to his request and will try to help him because he promised him that he would before. And Sato asked Mia and Arisa to help Aninamana while the others help him make the pottery. They started trying to make pottery, but they found it difficult to perfect it. While Sato succeeded in making a set of bottles, and the workshop owner was impressed with his abilities, but he told him that there was only one problem. The pottery needs 5 days to dry, and the thicker ones will need at least a month. Sato tried to think of a solution to dry the bottles without messing with them, and he thought of using wind magic with Mia's help, and it worked with the first bottle, and the workshop owner put it in the kiln and asked them to continue making pottery, molding it, drying it, and making potions, and they were able to make dozens of them in a short time under the supervision of Sato and the workshop owner. And once they finished, they put all the bottles in the kiln to make them usable. The workshop owner told them that the vials would be ready by sundown. Meanwhile, Tama noticed that Aninamana's hat was a small bird, and when Sato examined it, he found that it was a level 15 witch's pet. The person who was standing behind the deputy in his office arrived and accused them of making potion vials without permission. But the workshop owner denied this and told him that he was teaching them the decoration and that it was not for sale, but the person ordered his men to destroy the kiln because it was against the law. After they destroyed the furnace and the vials inside, he sarcastically told them that he was looking forward to delivering the potions on time, and he and his men left. And the workshop owner apologized to Sato, and Sato asked him to speak privately and asked Aninamana to give him the witch's hand to communicate with her. Later, Arisa was standing sadly in front of the furnace because they were almost finished, but she noticed that there were old pieces among the bottles. Sato explained to her that he had put the broken goods there as a distraction in case something like this happened, and that the bottles they had made were in another place. He told Arisa that he had something better than her toolbox. Then, Sato started taking out the vials, and as soon as he took out the first one, it broke immediately, and he realized that the reason was the sudden change in temperature, as he had kept the vials in the same condition before the destruction of the furnace. Sato thought to find a way to reduce the temperature gradually, and remembered when he used to sit at night to experiment with the inventory and the toolbox and see the difference between them, and started using the toolbox to reduce the temperature of the vials and combine it with the blast spell. After that, Sato and Arisa came out of the workshop and told the others that they had succeeded in completing the drying of the rest of the vials. Sato then went to the deputy's office, who wondered why he had come if he couldn't deliver the potions on time, and asked him to leave the city with his companions. But Sato approached the deputy and asked him to sign the delivery receipt, indicating that his goods were ready to be delivered, and his men confirmed the delivery of 300 vials of potions amidst the surprise and anger of his partner. The deputy stood up and went to the window, turning his back to them, and Sato asked him to sign the receipt. And when he did not find a response from him, they were interrupted by the voice of Count Kohano that he would sign the receipt in his place with the old witch behind him. And when the deputy's partner asked him why he came, the Count told him that the witch told him about their actions and intentions. Aninamana realized that this is why Sato asked her to talk to the witch's hand to contact her to ask her to bring the Count to the office and reveal the deputy and his partner. Count Kohano began to scold the deputy, reminding him of his past, and then dismissed him from his position. The deputy became angry and tried to attack the Count using his magical punishment ability, but the Count was able to block his attack without a scratch, and when he was about to kill the deputy and his partner, Sato intervened and knocked them down so that the Count would not do it in front of the children and girls in the office. After Sato and his companions left the Count's office, he returned to the pottery workshop and apologized to the owner for the trouble he had caused him. But the workshop owner told him that the Count had replaced him with a larger kiln, and he thanked him, and the witch and Aninamana thanked him and gave him the witch's student lantern as a gift from them. Then Sato and the girls got into the carriage to prepare for departure. During their return trip, Sato was taking a rest inside the carriage when Nana entered and told him to hurry up while exposing her body, but they were interrupted by Arisa, who, upon seeing this, realized that they were doing something obscene, but Nana meant for him to hurry up and set up a basic system for her so that she could use her ability to manipulate magic. Nana told Sato to put his hand near her heart and let the magic flow into her. Mia interrupted them by telling Sato to use her back instead of her heart, and Nana agreed to her suggestion. Sato then touched her back with both hands and and let the magic flow into her. Later, Sato told the girls that they were heading to the barony of Mano and began to remember how many cities they had passed through since they left Salo. Meanwhile, Xena was running in a hurry with an envelope in her hand, and when she arrived, she told her comrades in arms that she had received a letter from Sato. Lilio asked her what it was about, and she told her that he missed her and was telling her about his trip to Kunahu and the difficulties he had encountered. Meanwhile, Sato and his companions were on a break when Lisa returned with some herbs in her hand and told Sato that it was Pucci who insisted on bringing them because of their smell, thinking they were edible. When he took them, he cut them in half and found that they poured out a sweet liquid that he allowed Pucci and Tama to taste. Xena read Sato's letter until evening. In his letter, Sato tells her that he is enjoying the new world with his friends. Meanwhile, Pucci goes to Sato and asks him to tell her a bedtime story. So Sato takes the book from her and starts telling them all the story out loud. The story tells that there were 7 gods who came down from heaven. The 8th god was the god of dragons and existed before the other 7, but he was lazy and slept while the world changed. The 9th god was a demon god who traveled to their world from another world. The demon god was selfish and always fought with the other gods. One day, the demon god created demons to worship him. The demons tortured other races, with humans being the most tortured. They appealed to the young goddess to give them the power to kill the demons. The goddess was upset that the other gods weren't listening to her, so she went to discuss the matter with the most powerful of them, the dragon god, who seemed reluctant but was pleased by human toys and alcohol. So, the dragon god taught her a magic spell. It was a spell to summon heroes known as the Magic of Hope. Sato stopped reading the story and looked at the girls and found that Tama and Buji had fallen asleep and the rest were still awake listening to the story. Sato looked up at the sky, and in the meantime he was telling Xena in his letter that he knew they had a long journey ahead of them, but he intended to enjoy it and looked forward to meeting her again.